Willoughby Industries is a family-owned business. We've been in business since 1947, so we're in our 73rd year of operation, third generation. So my wife's grandfather started a company in '47 as a sheet metal company, and we've grown over the years into commercial and institutional plumbing fixture manufacturing. And that's been a great entity for us. We have a number of different groups within that. We have our security group, we have our Parks and Rec group, we have our commercial group, which has to do a lot with our solid surface product line. We have our healthcare group, and then we also have our behavioral healthcare group, which is a very important component in today's marketplace. Our building that has been our home for the past 8 years is around 250,000 square feet. We have 130 employees here. Many of our employees have been with us a long time. We have very low turnover. The other thing we're very proud of too is that we have had a 25+ year relationship with the Indianapolis work release community. Another thing that I would like the community to be aware of, the correctional community, is that Willoughby Industries is a true U.S. manufacturer, and very, very few people can make that claim. We use domestic steel, 100% domestic steel in our fixtures. All of our manufacturing is done here in Indianapolis. We do not do certain operations like rubber molding or spring manufacturing, so we do buy some smaller components, but by and large, if you see our product, when you look at that, you can have the confidence to know that it was manufactured by U.S. workers here in Indianapolis. And we believe that sets us apart in our industry. To us, security fixtures include stainless steel combination units, toilets, lavatories, wash fountains. There's a wide variety of different fixtures. The list goes on and on, all of which again are manufactured here. We are the largest domestic manufacturer of security fixtures. And by saying that, we believe we're also saying we're the largest in the world if you look at it from a unit volume standpoint. And we're proud of that fact. But what Pauly Jail has been able to do over the years is develop a team of manufacturers and contractors that can go in and give the customer a completed product that they can have a great degree of confidence in. We've been so very fortunate to be involved with Pauly Jail over the years, and Pauly Jail has involvement back with Steel Cell, who we talked to before. It's been a great thing for Willoughby, and we believe Pauly Jail's been a great entity to deal with. They're good people.
As steel arrives off the steel mill truck, we have 3 different ways that it can go through our facility. So way number 1 is we send it through our shear and then through our turret. So our shear basically takes our sheets off different thicknesses, different finishes, whatever the job may call for, shear it down to a specific size, and then set it up to run on our turret. So a turret will actually punch metal out. Whenever we say punching metal, it's different than as compared to a laser. Which brings me to the next side of it is the laser. We can take a sheet and put it on several of our lasers, 2 of which are sheet lasers, and then we also have a 5-axis laser we just purchased here in the last year or 2 to help us cut out some of our drawings. And what I mean by drawings is in our press area. For our press area, we take blanks of steel, and whenever we take blanks of steel, we'll stick them inside of different die sets and come out with a finished part, whatever it might be. That's the 3 different ways to start our process. Once that is done, we send it over to forming. So whenever you think about origami, you might think about that in the metal form. You got to form that into something. And so what we do is we got multiple press breaks where we actually form, bend, shape, whatever it might be, so that we can take the process and move it into our welding area and come together. As we move through, you can see there's a couple other supporting areas that you may not see in the sheet metal side of things. So we also have our own tool and die area where we manufacture and maintain all of our dies for our press area. We also bend all of our own tubes, which people may think that's not a big deal to have tubes. You know, why don't you just buy that out? Well, we don't want to buy it out. We want to have it in-house. That's a big deal to us, is to have our own people do it. Seeing that we are totally a custom shop, you'll see throughout the shop, we don't have any finished product sitting on the shelf. It's all going to be made to order. So Mr. Sheriff orders his, he's going to get exactly his. It's not going to be like any other product in the country because he wants it a certain way and we're going to make it that way. So moving on from tube bending, we have our machining area. What we're manufacturing there is we're manufacturing our push buttons, we're manufacturing our bubblers, we're manufacturing our drains, stuff that most people would buy out, we do in-house. And what sets us apart with that is a lot of our competitors do it and they chrome plate brass. We don't do any of that. We do solid stainless steel. So whenever your fixture's 10, 20 years old, it's not going to be flaking off. It's still going to look just the same as it was on day one. Moving on from the machining area, we have injection molding. So with injection molding, what we're doing there is plastic injection molding. Whenever you have a die, you close it, inject hot molten plastic at a high temperature into it, let it cool, separate the die, it spits out a good part. We check those constantly. So every 50 to 100 parts, we're checking them to make sure they're within tolerance. After our metal gets formed, it goes over to welding. So we got a couple different ways that we weld stuff together. Big thing is TIG. For us, we have to make a lot of stuff watertight. So we actually hand TIG most of our fixtures together. Being that they all are custom, very few of our parts are repeat parts. So that makes us have to have hand welding. So we have anywhere between 25 to 30 welders that are hand welding within any day. About 2 of them MIG weld for us on a semi-regular basis for the larger parts that don't have to be watertight, but most of it's TIG welding. One thing that doesn't change in a toilet is the toilet bowl. And so that's why we use a robotic welding system on our toilet bowls, because it is a very consistent part. It doesn't change in between fixtures. It may change orientation or the height that it's set at, but the toilet bowl itself is not going to change. Once the fixtures are welded together, they're actually going to get tested. Whenever we have a toilet bowl sub-assembly, that sub is going to get tested before it ever gets welded into a toilet fixture itself. So we're going to test that. It's going to come back into welding. It's going to be welded into a fixture. Once they get that tacked together, it's going to be finish welded by hand, and then it's going to go to our grinding department. Whenever you think of stainless steel, whether it's a countertop or a stainless steel piece, that has actually got a finish on it. So we have grinders that put finishes and make it look pretty. After it's ground, we're going to send it back to testing for round 2. So we're testing it actually twice before it goes out the door. As I talked about with injection molding, we injection mold all of our own plastic valve parts. And so once those parts are molded and inspected to make sure they're within tolerances, they actually go to our valve assembly area, which is enclosed inside of an office space so we can control dust in the area and then assemble the valves in a professional manner without having issues. So we put all the valves together, assemble them, we test the components multiple times as we go through. And what we actually do, and we'll show you, is our test stand, where we test all the valve components with air. The reason we use air is just much more precise. Every single one of our valves gets tested. Another large component of our manufacturing is our water management systems outside of the stainless steel plumbing fixtures. And whenever you think of a water management system in a correctional facility, what it is the brains of the fixture. Push button for a fixture, whether it actuates the flush valve, lav valve, whatever it might be, just goes straight to the valve. There's nothing in between saying yes or no, can I function? And so what we do is we actually take that push button, make it go to a controller, and from that controller goes to the valve. And so that controller is in the middle, being dictated off of previous settings. And so we network those together, hook them back to a computer and central control in a lot of different facilities. And what that does is give the sheriff or the staff the ability to shut water on and off, dictate how many times they can flush an hour, when they can shower. Let's say they only want them showering from 6 to 8 in the morning. They can set that up, and so every day, 6 to 8 in the morning, and after that it's not going to function. So the COs don't have to go in and tell inmates to get out of the shower during count or food or anything like that. 2 large reasons that correctional facilities like our water management system. Number 1, water and sewer savings. Inmates will flush 25 to 50 times a day, and they aren't paying for the water. You got to pay to get that water into the building. You got to pay to get that water out of the building. So their sewer and water bills are usually astronomical. The other side of it is the safety standpoint. You have an inmate, they're upset, they're going to flush their toilet over and over and over again, and they're going to flood it. And what they're trying to do is be able to get out of the cell or introduce a CO into an unsafe environment. And so what we do with our water management system is allow them to control whether they want the fixture on or off, if they want them to not flush that many times. So they can't flood the facility and cause damage, because thousands of dollars of damage can be done if your sheriff's office is on the first floor and your jail is right above that. We've heard it time and time again, and we've done a lot of retrofits of facilities that didn't get that originally and then wanted it later. And I will tell you right now, it is much more cost effective to do it originally than it is to come back and do it 5 years later. The reason we test all our water management systems is whenever they get out into the field, it gives us confidence to know that this is how it's supposed to be. A contractor's going to install this, we label everything. So the CVCs go into the room numbers, where they're supposed to be, the fixture types, we label even the leads and color code them so they know where to plug them in on the push buttons or the valves. So whenever it's out in the field, there is no question where that CVC is supposed to go. They know exactly where it's supposed to go. We do a lot of contractor training. If they want to come in and get trained on how to put our systems in, or we go out and help train them out in the field, it just makes for a better end product and less problems. So in our electronics assembly area, we have what we call a vacuum wall. So we partner with a company called EVAC of North America. They manufacture vacuum plumbing systems. Basically, it's big in cruise ships. It's also become more prevalent in correctional industry. We have a demonstration wall in our electronics assembly area. Customers come in and test the system and see how it works, because once water's actually flowing through a fixture and you can see that button works and then all of a sudden it doesn't, that clicks for a lot of people. They understand, oh, okay, wow, that's interesting. And so then they realize the need for it and why they want it in their facility. That's usually the turning point. We do have a mobile display vehicle that goes around the country. We emphasize if anybody has any interest in water management, we can come out to you and give you guys an estimate as far as what's involved, some cost associated with it, and just how the system works. And we love having visitors. Please let us know if you want to come see us. We'd love to have you anytime, give you a full tour of our facility, and show you that we truly do make everything here.